We are privileged today to facilitate the convening of the meeting for the African Group of Negotiators on Climate Change. And this is an important convening for us because it gives us an opportunity to share firsthand the impact climate change has had in Kenya, but also contribute to the position paper that is going to be developed for the African countries to be shared in COP29.
So this year, the 29th Conference of Parties to the UNFCCC will be happening in the city of Baku of Azerbaijan from mid-November to third week of November, about 11th to 23rd or so. And we all as global community preparing to have an ambitious outcome from the conference. Africa is part of the larger group of the developing world, the G77 and China. But specifically, our priorities, just like most of the other parts of the world, the conference is about delivering what we call the new collective quantified goal on climate finance.
As Oxfam, we got an opportunity to share with the negotiators hard data on climate finance. We have consistently produced reports that show that the conventional reporting on climate finance does not represent the entire picture. And the argument, for example, that the goal of meeting the 100 billion per year that was met in 2022, our data has disproved that. Our data has shown that indeed that was because of lenient reporting. And so presenting such information to the African Group of Negotiators is important because it helps to inform their discourse on NCQG, the new collective quantified goals.
We are calling our negotiators to powerfully advocate for Africa. And as this year is a critical year for climate finance, we are calling a climate finance, a new collective quantified goal on climate finance that's adequate, that's grant-based, and that's transparent, ensuring the needs of the African people is prioritized and addressed.
We, as the conveners, we believe that these are the people who represent us during the COP, who are the ones who shape up the policies, such that we as Africans, we get enough adaptation finance, because we as Africans, we don't need mitigation finance, but we need an equal, which is being financed between adaptation and mitigation. According to the current states, we as Africa, we need about 400 billion annually that will be given to the adaptation finance for us to adapt to climate change. We are the least polluters, yet we are bearing the brunt of the climate change. We as the caravaneers, we are gathering evidence-based information from the grassroots, from the communities. We have the voices of the community, and we then feed those into the negotiators who are then representing us during the COP29. So we are there going from each country to each country in Africa. We as Africans, we need one voice to be one people.
People are saying that they are very resilient and they are here to stay. But however, at some point, they can't cope alone with the adverse impact of climate change. So they need some kind of assistance. When it comes to finance, what we hear from the community is that they need adequate finance that can be accessible, that can be based on the needs, and that can be also very predictable. We have the solutions. Agroecology, regenerative agriculture, and other simple solutions are there in the communities. We want those finance to go and support communities as they try to adapt and build a very resilient and prosperous Africa. La lutte continue.
We are happy, therefore, that negotiators were able to interact with our presentation. They've shown a lot of interest in the way Oxfam has demonstrated that there need to be more transparency and equity in climate negotiation, and more particularly around climate finance negotiation.
As a critical enabler of climate action, currently, climate finance is flowing to the continent at a very insufficient scale, and again in an equal direction. Therefore, reform is needed to make finance available, affordable, accessible, and especially to our developing economies. Securing a very strong, favorable finance deal at COP29 is therefore very important, very vital for Africa.
African Union Commission, we continue also to work on our country programs to support our member states to make sure that they've got access to climate finance
Let me appreciate the generous support that we have received from Oxfam and other international partners, particularly the International Organization for Migration as well as Conservation International, for supporting the African group to meet and to discuss and to develop their priorities. We really appreciate Oxfam's analytical work on matters climate finance. That has been very helpful, and we will continue to call on you to give us, the backstopping on matters climate finance, so that the submissions that the African group and other developing countries will be making will be on the basis of facts and figures that are well analyzed by experts in the international world. So we thank Oxfam and look forward to stronger partnership with Oxfam.